a lot of credibility when you don't concede that a biological male has physical advantages over a biological female. I mean, I just think that's a proven fact, and you really hurt your credibility. I understand you want the world to be a better place. I do too, and I don't think people ought to be discriminated against because of an immutable characteristic. I don't. Um, and I think that I think everybody ought to be free to be themselves. And what you do in your bedroom or what I do in my bedroom with a consenting adult is nobody's business.
My soul's spoiled up.
But if
It's my soul.
what I do in my bedroom with a consenting adult, if I decide I want to tell somebody's child about it, then other people have rights too. And I think parents have rights. And I think biological females have rights to be able to compete fairly in sport in sports. So I really think you hurt your credibility when you refuse to acknowledge that biological males have an advantage over biological females. It kind of makes me wonder about all your testimony.
Now, when she was talking about tennis, she was having a point that women can compete in certain sports. Not all sports. Now, there is sports where if it comes to muscles, that you think muscles having an advantage of that sport, more muscles, then they would have an advantage. Right? But it's up to the woman to decide if they want to compete with men. Right? That's what I believe. If they want to fix that area, you don't worry about, you don't have men competing with women. And if you do, the ones that have changed, then the women have to agree. It'd be like open up at a shop, right? When people open up shops sometimes in certain areas, you've got to make sure there's enough business, right? So that the shops agree, yet we're all overflowing a little bit. We can agree that we'll have another shop, right? It's a similar thing to that, where, they go, well, I'm good. I believe I'm best at what I'm doing in this sport. That's what we all doing usually, isn't it? That's what we compete for, to show who's the best at that sport. And if a woman can compete with a man, then so be it. And if a woman doesn't mind that a man competes in a woman's sport that they believe that they're better at, then so be it. Right? But they've got to agree to it. And so that's where the problem lies, isn't it? And so when it comes to someone's got an advantage and the other people believe that they've got an advantage because of the muscles in a particular sport, then maybe if there's an argument, then you can be disqualified, right, kind of thing. But other than that, when you go fair rights, women should be able to play anything and a man should be able to play anything. But it all depends on if a person's was a man and now a woman, are they declared as a woman with woman muscles? And no, they're not. They're still declared as a man. And that's how everyone still sees it. But when it comes to sports, they could be having an advantage over them. So if someone complained about that guy's a man, he had an advantage over me as a woman, that's more likely because she believes that having more muscles in that sport, in that sector, gives it an advantage. And perhaps women shouldn't be there, right? Or perhaps they should declare that sport as a woman's sport. Right? What's a woman's sport? What's a man's sport? Well, we figured that out ourselves by putting ourselves in those sectors. See, over time, men become workers and women stay at home. We know now with the brains, with scans these days, that women have a bigger frontal lobe. So that means they communicate more better. They might have had that all along. And so if you imagine if that was true, they've had a bigger than us since we've started from baby, then that slight differences makes it so we can connect. Because like I've talked about before, it's always good to have differences because what's the point of both being the same, right? You might not need the other person. So having those differences allows us to want to connect, right? And so women can talk and connect better and maybe able to learn better with emotions and communication and things like that, because that's what their brain's programmed to run better. That's what they got better besides bigger muscles. See, when you elect a person in a game, you got to build them or you select them. They always have differences in them, but they always end up working out to be the same, but slightly different muscles, more intelligent, so on. Same with the race car. And then you choose, or you think that one's better because it's got more muscle, but it doesn't have good intelligence and can't jump well, and so it has other problems in the game, right? And so you have another partner that can, and then he does those other parts for you, right? And you just get along. So the main thing is to get along, and that's why we debate. And when we debate, we get an answer in that debate for that particular issue, and that can help for everybody or just help for that one area. I don't know if I can talk about it anymore. I can probably talk a little bit more about it if you need to, but I hope you get it now. I hope the judge can get it a little bit more better. You shouldn't, this is what I call, you shouldn't speak too quick about discriminating other people and putting them in their spot until you understand properly. When you're a judge, you need to understand properly because you're in a higher rank, and if you don't research things properly, they can backfire. And so I believe what you were saying is right in one area, but in the end, being the big daddy, you were rude and wrong, and you could be debated still, but you don't allow it as you have an opinion. As a judge, you're allowed to, and so do they. But the good thing about court is we can continue that debate in the judge. Usually. But usually it can cost money, but it all depends on the area. But anyway, yeah. So when it comes to female males, that's what we got. When it comes to gender, what you feel like, what you want to act like, and all that kind of stuff. Yep, that can come in many different ways. People acting like aliens now. People believe they're an alien, right? That's a gender. Right? A gender is self in a way, and you can recognise that. But getting everyone, which is what I've talked about before, everyone to know what your gender is, that can take time sometimes. Right? We've got natural genders, which is male and female, which is what the judge is talking about, and natural sex genders. And then you got gender, and then that's Christian gender. Natural gender is what we'll say, what we mostly know about, and what's biological. And then we've got the other genders, which is gay people and people that believe they're aliens and people that want to date a cat and things like that. Right. Now, I'm not laughing about that. It's not a laughable matter, and it's not a good matter either when it comes to people who have genders to things that can't consent properly. Right. That's what I believe when it comes to genders. But we have genders, and how far can the genders go? Can you be a cat and then be with a cat? Genders can go too far sometimes. And that's why we also debate to try to understand, are you just being stupid? Have you got a proper legit gender? Or are you just crazy? Right? And in the end of the debate, we can find those answers too by what they talk about. Because if you're legit, you'll always have a decent comeback, I believe, and make it so hard that they'll let you go because you're legit, right? And you'll have a good comeback that doesn't sound crazy and sounds logical. Anyway, have a good one and see you later. Goodbye. You see my finger? Let me show you that before I go. My finger, it's swelling up. That's all. It was going good, and I bumped it. And then it's swelled up today. So hopefully it'll fix itself soon. Anyway, have a good one. Genders.